welcome to webinar series from Happiest Health. Happiest Health is a global health and wellness knowledge enterprise which brings to you series of webinars on various health topics.
I am Revati Rajivan from the Happiest Health team, and I will be the moderator for today's session titled Dating Apps and Self-Esteem. It is not for debate whether human beings want to form bonds, feel connections, want to be related, acknowledged, and accepted. But today, technology has made that easier and more accessible. From forming relationships in a physical space like schools, colleges, workplaces, etc., we've come to swiping right or left from the corner of our rooms. Rejections too come that easily. Today, a simple swipe may get to decide your worth. A swipe may judge your personality. Your profile picture might tell someone if you're capable of being a good partner to them. But beyond this surface level swipes, acceptance, and rejections, do dating apps affect an individual's self-esteem? Do they have long-term effects on body image? We'll discuss that and more with our panelists today. Join me in welcoming, first of all, Tanisha Ban. She's a counseling psychologist at Over a Cup of Tea. It is a counseling and wellness center based in Kolkata, India. She's also a researcher and has authored a paper on dating apps and self-esteem published in the International Journal of Indian Psychology. She deals with focus groups across ages, children, adolescents, and adults. Welcome to the panel, Tanisha.
Thank you for having me here. It's great to be
Next
here.
up, we have Andrea Tan. She's an accredited dating consultant. She's the branch manager at Lunch Actually, based out of Singapore. Lunch Actually is a platform that offers dating and matchmaking services online and offline, and her focus area is in sales and customer service management. We hope to get a business perspective of dating apps from you, Andrea. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see all of you today. Yeah.
Of course, the discussion is not complete without the perspective of a user of dating apps. And for that, we have Nitin George, who is an investment banker turned writer turned marketer. Is currently a content marketer, branding and advocacy specialist in the marketing technology domain. Welcome to the panel, Nitin.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I'll start with you first, Nitin. What was your reason to go on dating apps? What were you looking for when you signed up on dating apps?
Oh, that's interesting because I first started using dating apps almost, I think 7 or 8 years ago. It was a friend of mine who was like, dude, you should definitely check out, or you should try Tinder. It's the way to find someone to date. And at that point of time, I guess I had just come out of a relationship. I was very heartbroken and was not interested in considering dating again. And this guy was like, well, that's because when you date in real life, you're only I mean, you are sort of limited to your circle. You need to expand your horizon, and dating apps are the way to do that. And I thought, yeah, okay, why not? And that's how I got onto Tinder, with the hope or the expectation that I could date someone outside of my circle. That's how I got onto dating, yeah.
Tanisha, you have published a paper in the International Journal of Indian Psychology on this subject, where you have compared the mental health parameters of dating app users and non-users. What did you focus on, and what were the findings?
So mainly I focused on one's self-perception as well as the body image, the way they perceive themselves and how they look. If there is a difference between people who are using dating apps and non-dating app users. So the findings, as it might have, it's kind of predictable. It was like dating app users seem to have more like lower self-esteem as well as problems with their body images as compared to non-dating app users. And while I was doing my research, there weren't many papers based in India. So I thought, why not? Let's go for one.
All right. Andrea, somebody like Nitin goes onto the platform to meet somebody outside of their regular offline circles. On your online platform, you match people based on certain criteria. How do you do that? What factors do you look at?
Okay. Actually, for Lunch Actually, our agency, we are not a fully like an online platform, because we are a dating agency. We specialize like in handpicked matches for our clients. So basically, the first step to be in lunch actually is to we will invite every potential client for a face-to-face consultation, so that during the consultation and what we call a profiling session, we'll be able to get to know more about our clients' needs, our clients' profile, what is their love languages, what are their preference, what are their past relationships experience before, what do they want to gain from their next relationship, what are their deal breakers, so on and so forth. And also from the face-to-face consultation as a consultant, we are kind of like able to feel the vibes of our clients. We are able to see how they present themselves. Are they a more introvert, extrovert person? Are they able to initiate conversation? Are they a good conversationalist, etc.? So these are the things that we, as a consultant, we will take note, during the session, so that we can really have a good information about this potential client. And after we have done a full profiling of this client, if he or she is suitable, and in terms of their mindset, align with our clients, which means that they are really looking for a genuine and serious relationship, and we will actually be taking them in as our client, as our member. So as our member, they have to go through a series of verifications. Unlike like dating apps, it's really free to download and just they can actually create their own persona on their own. But for a dating agency like us, they have to be truthful of every information that they give us, because we do verification. So clients will need to send in their identification card, so that we can do a marital status check with our local registry of marriage to make sure that they're all legally single. Next up we'll need a latest income document, as well as their highest education cert for internal verification.
Right.
And we also need their the marriage certification, like if they are divorced, the final judgment letter from a court, to really certify that their marriage is already being finalized.
Right.
So there will be actually a lot of steps in terms of verification. So of course, after becoming our member, then we'll be matching them according to their life stages, of course, according to their values, according to their personality.
Right.
Yes, correct.
Right, Andrea. Nitin, after you got on to the dating app platform, did you find what you were looking for, like your friend advised and suggested, or did you have different experiences? Have there been rejections, ghosting? How has your experience been after going onto the dating app platform?
That is a complicated question to answer, because I'd say yes and no. In the sense, I have found people outside the circle, so definitely, I mean, your horizon expands. The set that you have to work with is obviously people that you do not know, right? They're not your close circle. So yes, I have found, but have I really been successful, or have dating apps been successful in helping me find something meaningful? I'd say not, right? Because it's more like a cycle that you keep repeating, and you don't even know why why you keep repeating it, because the way dating apps are set, I think it makes me believe it's a marketing tactic to keep a user on there for as long as possible, right? And then you end up paying for premium features, hoping that you're gonna, your luck is gonna turn better, but obviously not. So yes and no. And as far as rejections goes, yes, a lot of rejections. It's not even surprising, but rejections in themselves are not what matters, right? Because obviously offline too, you get rejected, and that's not a big deal.
Right.
But I think the problem comes when fundamentally you start discussing it among people, or even between your group, and then you start comparing it with the average of your circle, and it gets even worse when you're comparing it between the sexes. Like my friends who happen to be women have like a lot more matches, and then you're like, okay, what's wrong with me? Why don't I have that many conversations, or why don't more number of my conversations turn into actual coffee dates? So yes, it's very confusing.
Right. That brings me to my next question, which is to Tanisha. Tanisha, is there a gender difference in the way dating app affects an individual, be it positive or negative? And age-wise, are younger ones more vulnerable?
So yes, there seems to be a gender difference, and to add to Nitin's point, it has been made in a way, the social media and every marketing strategy works great with Tinder, because the swiping right and left, apparently it helps with anxiety. So while one thinks it's adding on to anxiety, it also controls it. And that's what the companies have been going for. So kudos to them for taking that step ahead. Other than that, yes, as per my research, as well as everything that I had read beforehand, there is a difference between how men and women go through the whole process. It was seen that in my research, I just had 162 participants from Mumbai. So very small pool, but there was a stark difference wherein women were more bothered by what was happening on a dating app as compared to men. That stats, and even qualitatively, when I spoke with them, I could only speak to a small bunch. They were always like, they have to represent themselves in a different light, the kind of editing that goes into it. And there is ample amount of research which shows that if you fake it, you make it. Like simply and very crassly put, I understand, but that is one of the things. If you want, I can quote, like, I have like full notebook of research wherein I could, tell you where, what, when has happened. And one of the most important ones, there's this documentary on BBC as well. If you go through it, you will see the women are getting more affected by it. The body image issues go higher. The way they perceive themselves is being hit more than men. While I agree men do get less number of swipes than women do, but what women want also, there's a difference there. So all clubbed together, yes. And age is not as much of, you can't understand the stark difference in age, because it all boils down to where the person is in their life at that point in time. Somebody who feels they're more, let's say they're more at a stable space. So irrespective of age, they are good to go. But somebody who is going through an inner turmoil, and that's something I've noticed during my sessions as well. Like somebody who's not going through a good time and then they go on to a dating app, all the vulnerabilities are just heightened and deeper. So that's the answer. Like women do go through more of a turmoil than men.
And men do. Okay, there is a clear gender difference in the way
Yes.
The dating apps
Yes.
or the effects of it have on men and women. Andrea, while you do these checks before you can match people and get the profiles verified, etc., are there cases where people come to dating consultants with certain criteria, set criteria? And if that's the case, then they would want to probably have online conversations or meet up virtually first, then take it offline later on. Certain people, it's a matter of preference. Is there a significant difference between the two, online and offline, in terms of acceptance and rejections, or in terms of what you call the success rate?
Right. So I mean, everybody has smartphones now. So technology is really changing the way in people are dating. So dating apps are all about quick swipes and chatting, which may not be resulting in actual meetups. So for example, if this profile is really beautiful and really handsome, there must be truckloads of people waiting for them to respond. Yeah, so it's more like a waiting game. And also like there is so much that you can see from a person's like dating profile, but is it really true? Profile that they are writing about themselves, and then correct, so it's a lot of guessing behind the scene. So meanwhile, about matchmaking through lunch actually, we make sure that dates really happen, because as a consultant, we will actually make that happen for them, because we take over the swiping, and matching from them. So like people go to a gym because they want to engage a personal trainer to get themselves fit and healthy. So let's say for relationship, if they cannot get anywhere on their own, they will be seeking help from a professional agency like us. So we do all the screening, we do all the verification to make sure that they are going on a date in a safe environment. And of course, like we will be matching them according to what they want. So it will result in a quality date rather than quantity dates that they are going through dating apps. Correct. So I mean, nowadays, like a lot of people are talking about like dating agency. How are these people like? What are these members like? They are actually like normal people. It's just that these clients that we had, right, are usually those that may have tried dating apps, majority of them. And they have tried dating apps, but dating apps are not really working out for them, or they have exhausted the help from their friends or relatives. There are no more single friends for them to recommend. So they will come to a dating agency for professional help like us. In fact, in Lunch Actually Singapore, we run a survey. It's of singles, right, 62% of them actually said that they have met scammers online. And this is really alarming numbers that we are seeing. So day in, day out, we are hearing like clients, experiencing, scammers, they are actually meeting up with scammers or too good to be true profiles online. So they are actually exposing themselves to danger in terms of meeting people online dating apps. So for in fact, a lot of clients, they say that they prefer to meet singles on a lunch, like a dating agency, because they know that these people are real. These people come in with a real reason of dating, and then they are here really for a serious relationship. Yeah.
Right. And
Correct.
Nitin, you have talked about how you may have compared in the social circle, may have evaluated yourself, etc. What are the concerns that comes out of this as a user in terms of self-esteem, or how you evaluate yourself or look at yourself in the long term after a period of, say, experiences on dating app, whether positively or negatively?
Well, I think so. One thing that I started noticing of late, and again, this is a very personal experience. I can't say that this is how it is for everyone, but a lot of the women that I happen to be matching with now, regardless of whether it's Tinder or Bumble, have sort of taken a very neutral stand, and the matches that I get are now looking for platonic friendship as opposed to some a relationship, something casual, marriage, nothing in the romantic direction. A very platonic friendship are the kinds of matches that I get these days. And in essence, I think all the dating apps that I've used work perfectly in terms of making friends, but in terms of committing to someone, it's so difficult because there is at the back of your head and also on your own phone an option that's constantly calling out to you, right? So you see someone, it clicks, you decide to like go on more than one date, it continues into a couple of dates, but everyone's always constantly looking for that one thing, which could be like a red flag or a turn off, and that's enough. Like the moment you find it, you have a reason to get out, because something's always calling you back that there are options. If you don't feel valued, if you don't feel loved, if you don't get the attention you deserve, then probably that person is not the one for you. To work on something is the least of anyone's priority, like even my own, right? I mean, when my previous relationship ended, yes, which was like 2 years ago, it was heartbreaking. I mean, not heartbreaking, but yes, I was disappointed. But there's at the back of my head, they're like, okay, well, not to worry. That you can just go back online and see if something else works out, right? To put in an effort, or to try to make it work, was the least of my intention, or even my ex's intention. And it kind of makes me wonder, um, should dating apps then be called friendship apps? Because the friends that I've happened to get from dating apps happen to be way more than actual relationships that I've had on these dating apps, which is very ironic. So, yeah, I think that is a fundamental flaw, either in the way dating apps work or in the way we work nowadays.
Then, quick
Uh,
question on that: is that any different offline? People wanting to work on themselves or relationships, etc. You feel that it is because it's an online platform and there are more options available, or is it the same case offline as well, or you feel that offline is more genuine by default?
I think offline. Okay, so before I mean, I tried dating app. Obviously, my relationships have been a very face-to-face encounter, right? The moment you meet someone is like you walk up to that person, you say hi. So your energy, the way you carry yourself, the other person's energy, all of that really contributes to either a right or a left swipe, the equivalent of that in real life. Um, and so that translates into something I think a bit more impactful, at least from my experience. The initial two relationships that I've had, my feelings towards the other person, my feelings towards the relationship as a whole, and the effort that you put in, I think have been more leaned more towards wanting to make it work. And there was always marriage as an end goal. Maybe that's also because I was naive back then, or like a relationship equals marriage at the end of the day. But nowadays, I know, even though I do want to find something permanent, I think it's also the fear of coming across as too needy or too clingy. I would not want to put that across until maybe after a couple of months of being with that person, then yeah, okay, I'm like ready for marriage, right? So between the offline and online world, for me, yes, there has been a difference, but it's hard to put it into perspective because I've also evolved as a person, as a human being. I've grown over the years, so not sure if I would still be the same as I was 10 years back. It's a very relative question.
Right. Thanks, Nitin, for that perspective. Tanisha, I'll quickly add on another question associated with that. Are there new or emerging behavioral patterns worth exploring, especially in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, when the number of people using dating apps has skyrocketed?
I think yes, there are different behavioral patterns that need to be noticed. One, if the focus on it's an addiction of in a way. Like right now, when we think of addiction, everybody thinks of alcohol, drugs, and things like that. But an app can also be very addictive. It's as good as gambling. So that should be an area of focus that one should notice. How many hours are you're spending on an app? Like I was recently watching a documentary. The person mentioned that he's been on Grindr and he spends 8 hours in a day without even realizing. I have had sessions with clients who have been on these apps throughout the day. It's a quick fix. As soon as they get one rejection, they're like, okay, how to build my self-esteem? I can again go back onto that app. I might find somebody else. So and how it has been affecting the daily life. That is something one could look into when it comes to the research of it. Yes.
We're talking here about dating apps affecting one's self-image and
Right.
self-esteem. Let's also look at it the other way. What about those using dating apps to mask one's self-image? Does that happen often too? Are people more comfortable online because of the anonymity it provides?
It does. Like as I mentioned before as well, you can use filters. You can present yourself in a different light. As Miss Andrea mentioned that, you can fake it. You can say that, yes, I am into XYZ kind of movies, XYZ kind of books. How long? You can do it for some time. And maybe that's why the relations don't last for long. Because the communication, all those aspects, they can be, all wrongly mentioned. There have been studies done in Netherlands when they have seen that all the profiles that were there, around 37 to 40% of them were just made up. What attracts other people and things like that. So yes, while masking sometimes can be great, but with time the reality again shows up. Your real characteristics, your traits, things you like, all those show up.
Right.
Yeah. Even with self-esteem for that matter.
Right. Andrea, what are algorithms not telling us? Nitin, as a user, raised this concern as well, because at the end of the day, dating apps or dating platforms, matchmaking, all of these also mean business. Is it bad for dating apps and matchmaking agencies if people find the right one sooner or in the very first swipe?
Right. So I think love in the 21st century really has hit the height of complexity and confusion. So like the complexity here meaning to say that we can no longer trust what we see. Like pictures are Photoshop or like filtered, heavily filtered, and also singles options nowadays are like if they are only seeing like the first profile pic on a dating app, right? If they don't like it, they will not swipe on the second pic anymore. So they will move on to another profile. So this is actually the trend going now in dating apps. And also like, of course, like dating apps, they are also talking about business. So they need the number of users. They need a number of new signups on to sustain the dating apps itself. So of course, like for us as a dating agency, when we know that our clients are on dating apps, we will actually warn them to say that you can talk to them, but make sure that you do not disclose confidential information, like for example, your mobile number. So you can take them on Telegram, you can take them on like on Telegram so that there's no exchange of WhatsApp numbers, etc. So, and also like be able to talk to them and possible do a video call with this person. So if this person keeps on avoiding, your invitation for a video call, or then that is actually one of the things that they have to take note of. So definitely, if this person has chat with you from more than 10 calls, it's time to meet them. So if this person is not keen to meet up, please move on. Yeah.
Right. Nitin, my next question is to you. Is there something you would want to change about these apps or the user experience?
Oh, yes, I think it would be very good if these apps had a sort of AI backed algorithm that understood intent and then matched users of a similar intent with one another. Like those looking for friendship, well, match them with people looking for friendship. Those looking for something serious, match them with people looking for something serious. But I've also realized that that's very wishful thinking, because at the end of the day, like, you guys have mentioned, what you see is rarely what is inside, right? I don't think anyone is completely honest on their profiles. Like, people say they're looking for marriage, but they may not really be looking for marriage. People say that they're looking for something casual, but deep inside, it's fear that's making them say that, when in fact they're looking for something serious. So, um, to be honest, I don't know. What I would like to see on these dating apps is an intent that matches people of similar intents together. That would be nice.
Right. We hope that happens too soon, Nidin. Tanisha, people tend to take everything online too seriously. While it is easy to say that, don't take it personally, take it easy, it may not actually be that easy. How does one go about dealing with rejections online?
Right, that's the biggest difficulty. Rejection online or offline are both hard, and online there are too many of them. So, like I mentioned, the person has to be in a state of mind when they are open to facing rejections. Anybody entering the dating app arena, they have to be cautioned about what is going to happen. There are going to be rejections as soon as you enter the job market, you're prepared for it. When you're on campus, you're told by your professors, okay, you're going on for your campus placement, you will not be getting all the opportunities that are there. Same thing with a dating app. There should be a cautionary tale or a warning which shows that if you're not in the best mental health states right now, do not enter. Other than that, people should be a little more focused on the kind of boundaries they would want to draw as soon as they're on the app. There are times, as it has been mentioned, that okay, if you want a casual relationship, and that is the boundary that you want to draw, it has to be open from the very first day, rather than taking it slow and then opening things up, so that both the people who are a part of that conversation are aware, and it is not hampering the way they perceive themselves or the intent. Then there's this whole anxiety which happens, that why isn't the person replying, and all those aspects. To avoid it beforehand, there should be like a proper self-care tool ready, wherein you know when to draw the line, you know the consequences that one might go through, as well as to know where one stands when it comes to themselves, how they perceive themselves. It should be like, I tell most of my clients that make a note of how you see yourself. Read it once, once in a day, wherein you know how you see yourself, and then focus on how other people are perceiving you. Even limiting the time on the app might help.
Right. Thank you, Tanisha. Andrea, you've touched upon this point briefly earlier in the discussion, but what are the red flags that a user must notice when getting onto dating apps and going ahead with forming connections with people?
There are various ones. So I think the first one will be, they are never based in your city. Right. So when you're talking to scammers, right, they are usually overseas. Then on a very rare scenario, they will tell you where they are. So they will always say that they will got a lot of business trips and they are always flying around. So they will work in this city for a while, they will move on to another city, and then basically they are always not able to arrange a meetup with you. So this is the number one red flag. Yeah. So the second red flag, right, is their profiles are usually too good to be true. So, so these scammers would have very attractive profiles and bios of themselves, or pictures, descriptions of themselves. So they will show their profiles to be like having a luxurious lifestyle, vacations on a yacht, or like traveling around the world, or posing with their sports car, etc. So like a tip for singles will be like, go for less attractive profiles, and they tend to be more like, have a higher chance that they are more authentic and real person. Okay. So, and also like if you are matched to someone that is gorgeous, or that like a supermodel, so I think you can use like Google reverse secure image search. Sorry, I repeat again, it's Google reverse image search to check the authenticity of these photos. Yeah, so you can copy and paste on the photos, and maybe you will say, oh, this is actually a stock photo, and these photos are being used in multiple dating apps. So this is actually a very good function. Yeah. So the third red flag, right, will be their life really sounds like a soap opera, right? So after talking to them for a while, right, they will tell to you about their problems, their family problems, and they will really want your sympathy. And these scammers, I think they are really well trained, that they can really strike, the emotional pain point of the singles at any stage of their at a stage of their conversation. So they will say that, oh, they have a sick and dying family member, their business are not doing well, they have a sum of money but which is locked out in some way, so they need time to release the funds. By the meantime, can you loan me some money to tide through? So these are the common tactics that scammers will be using. Right. So the fourth red flag, right, is that they know exactly all the right things to say. Like, you are very likely to meet a scammer if they are a sweet talker. Someone that you have not really meet them physically, but they already say, I love you. They will address you as darling, my love. Or these are really red flags that singles who really need to, be cautious of. And I think be sane, really sane during the conversation with people they have not met before. So if you are really unsure, talk to someone, like talk to your friends, talk to your siblings to really have a certain opinion of who you are talking to. Correct. So these are the 4 safety tips that I want to share when it comes to online dating. So don't share your particulars, especially your workplace or home address and contact number. Then avoid sending personal, intimate photos of yourself. Yeah, you never know where your photos will land up to be. And when going on first date, right, meet in a public area. So don't ever go to a park, or worst thing is go to his house or the place that he suggested. So you suggest the place. Yeah. And also it's good to let someone know where you're going, who you're meeting. All right. And yeah, these are the tips that I always share with singles.
Right. Probably the first time that I'm hearing of using Google reverse image search for verifying a dating profile. We do that to verify forwards on WhatsApp and fake news, but that's an innovative one. I'll take some questions from our attendees now. If there are any more questions, you can continue to post them on the chat box. This one's for Andrea. Andrea, is there a struggle to find consistency in relationships in dating apps, and how does Lunch actually try to maintain this consistency?
I think for dating apps and dating agency, our agency is really very different, because we follow through our clients from the first time that they are in with us throughout their dating journey. So all throughout, we will handpick the match for them. We will share with them the match that we have recommended, and then they will go on a real date. So after the date, we will take a feedback with them. So that will be really a human kind of a communication, human interactions with our clients, rather than a dating app whereby they are on themselves. Yeah, so they are really in the the wide ocean, swimming on their own to find the right one. But amidst the ocean, there's a lot of sharks. So they are actually throwing themselves in a lot of danger.
Right. Next question, I'll take this to you, Tanisha. How does one manage their professional and personal life? How long is it okay to be on an app or a site? You've talked about being there for hours on particular app, but is there a particular number of hours that you would recommend?
Nothing actually. It all depends on how much it is affecting one person. It's very personalized. Today, somebody can be on an app for an hour and get affected. One can be on an app for 8 hours and be affected. So the kind of space that person is, like, for example, students during the summer break, they have nothing to do. They can spend hours and hours on that app. But as soon as their college starts, they again have to get in the pattern of studying and things like that. So they have to reduce the time. So God bless Android and iPhone. Right now, you have the Zen mode on all phones. So tracking it might help to bring it down and to understand if it is affecting the thoughts, sleep, and aspects like that. If they are, then to bring it down by half an hour per day, to get it down at least to an hour. That works.
Yeah, okay. I have one more question for you, Tanisha. It's vital for your emotional well-being to realize that even if you've been on a few dates, this person probably might be talking to multiple people in addition to you. How does one deal with this? How does one go around or handle their self-esteem or emotion in this particular scenario?
Right. Like I mentioned, the person has to draw those boundaries for themselves. They have to be more open. Either they have to know if they're open to this idea or not. If not, they must let the other person know, because they cannot control what the other person is doing, right?
Right.
And taking it on themselves will become frustrating for them. So on day one itself, to let them know that, listen, if we are going on XYZ, we draw the line there. If the person says, I'm going to meet other people, then it's your call to move out or back out. It's completely on them to draw that particular line, which is very important. Sometimes people just let go of it, like, what if, this is the one for me, and I let them go ahead with it. It will affect their mental health, irrespective of how many times they try to convince themselves otherwise. So maybe having, if they are unable to draw the line for themselves, to have a friend who could do it for them, or somebody from the family who would be the guard, no, that's it, you're not doing it, something like that.
Right. Transparency, honesty, of course, boils down to each individual on how they want to go about it. All right.
And how much they're comfortable with.
Please continue, Tanisha.
Yeah, I'm just saying like how much they're comfortable with. Sometimes people themselves are open to the idea of meeting different people. Both the parties are open to it. So it's a good thing. Great going. Enjoy. Right. But if one is not, then the whole thought of, am I not enough, and all those start coming in. So transparency is yeah.
Right. We're close to wrapping up. Before that, I'll quickly take closing remarks from all of you. I'll start with you, Nidhin.
Well, first of all, this has been a very exciting and insightful session. Andrea, I hope something like what you're doing also, takes root in India, because it would be really nice to have someone take that external effort and match people with the intent and all that. So that'd be great. Yeah, other than that, Revati, thanks for having us on this thing. It's been nice, and yeah, I look forward to this webinar coming out and watching it again.
Right, Tanisha.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here, and I am an extremely nervous talker, so I would encourage people to read more about it and trust me on what I have to say. And same thing, Andrea, please bring something like this to India. It makes life sound very easier than what it is currently. That warmth, and as you mentioned, the human touch of getting that person to talk post a date, great initiative. Yeah.
Andrea,
thank you, Revati, for introducing us to this.
Right. Thank you for having me today, and also happy to meet Tanisha and Nidhin today. So yeah, so I mean, it's really great to have different insights of from you guys as professionals, and also like for to end off, like to a word advice for singles is that do try different types of platforms, dating platforms. Have fun meeting people. Dating is fun. Just enjoy it. So however, just one tip is that when you go on a date, don't go with a checklist in your mind. So go and be yourself, just be authentic, be real, then this will show in the way that you present yourself during the date. Thank you.
Thank you so much, panelists. Thank you, Nidhin George. Thank you, Tanisha Ban. And thank you, Andrea Tan, for this wonderful session and giving your perspective, varied perspectives on this particular topic on dating apps and self-esteem. We'll come back with more topics under health and wellness, and we hope that you can join us in sessions in the future as well. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and joining us today. Thank you.